his phrase, res cogitans. Cogitans, present participle, indicating what's going on. Res, thing, substance, entity. Res cogitans. But there he's jumped to a conclusion that may not be warranted. Because granted an immediate awareness of myself in the act of thinking, reflectively, we're aware of ourselves as thinking. Where does the race come in? That thing. Am I aware of the mind that does the thinking? The mind is a mental substance, an immaterial entity, a soul. You see? Yet that's what he's affirming here. I'm a thinking thing. And he takes it that he's proved the existence of the soul. In fact, at the very beginning of the work, he says he's going to prove the existence of God and of the soul, which was precisely what the scholastics tried to do, to provide a basis for theology. Well, he has shown that we have a direct awareness of thinking and of thoughts, a bit of a thinker, you see. That's the question. And that's what gets challenged, because when he equates this thinking thing with soul, with immaterial mind, Thomas Hobbes, to which he sent the Meditations for comments before it was published, Thomas Hobbes raised his obvious objection. Why shouldn't the thinking thing be a body? Which, of course, is precisely what Thomas Hobbes thought it was. You remember Thomas Hobbes' materialism. Why shouldn't the thinking thing be a body? He's assuming, of course, that it's brain that does the thinking, rather than some kind of immaterial soul. Why not a corporeal thinker? To which Descartes has his response. First, I have no intuitive awareness of body as I do of mind. That is to say, I have an intuitive awareness of the agent, but I don't have intuitive awareness of the body. And secondly, he claims, I do have some notion of a soul substance. And that term notion is the tricky word. He's not saying I have a clear and distinct idea. I have a clear and distinct idea of thinking, of doubting. I have a number of the ideas that I think. But I don't have a clear and distinct idea of mind substance, of soul substance. I have a rather vague notion of what that will be. He doesn't say vague. But it's a notion, it's not a clear and distinct idea. Notion implies something perhaps more imaginative than explicit. But in any case, he thinks there is more grounds for affirming a soul substance as a thinker because of this notion than there is ground for asserting that matter is the soul substance, that body is a thinker. So I think, therefore I exist. What am I? A thinking thing, a soul, so forth. Well, later on, there's going to be a further objection that we'll run into, raised by David Hume around 1800, who said in regards to the mind and our introspective awareness of mind, no, all we're aware of is our ideas. And in being aware of my mind, I'm only aware of a bundle of ideas that I call mine. But what bundles them? I don't know. You see. Now, Hume is not talking about, however, an awareness of mental acts, only of ideas. And so Descartes' point hinges, it seems to me, on the fact that we have a direct awareness of our mental acts, therefore of an agent. And sometimes it takes some mental effort to affirm, to deny, to decide, you see. Let alone to think, to reason, to infer. You see, we're aware of the agency acting in those cases. So it seems to me that Descartes' argument hinges not just on representational ideas, but on an introspective consciousness of our own mental activity, which I think you don't find in David Hume. There it's just the ideas. So without the mental activity, why have an agent? You see? And so when it comes to the existence of mind, without any awareness of agency, Hume is simply a skeptic. We have no way of knowing. Well, it'll turn out that Hume is also a skeptic about the existence of material bodies. He's also a skeptic about proving the existence of God. So Descartes, who started with skepticism, really, according to David Hume, should end up where he started, skepticism. So the story of epistemology from Descartes to Hume is the story of a concerted attempt to argue one's way out of skepticism by what we called last time a foundationalist approach. Okay? An approach which, according to David Hume, fails utterly. So Hume has to find another way out of skepticism. And for him, it's a matter of beliefs that are the product of mental habits, sort of a pragmatism. Okay, Ruth?
Because of the kind of epistemology and the definition of intuition that Descartes locks himself into, that makes how he defines the intuition of a mental act different than how I would say, from a realist perspective, I have an intuition in my body. And the realist is going, I know I think I do intuit in my body.
Yeah, yeah. The crux of the thing is that representational business, and I see I erased that word somewhere along the way. Yeah, you see, the intuitive is something that's direct. Representation, we mean our knowledge is indirect. And the kind of realism that I assume you're talking about, the kind that Dallas Willard was talking about week before last, is a direct realism. He alluded to Scottish realism, Thomas Reid. He alluded to G.E. Moore. It's a direct realism. How can Hegel talk of direct awareness of other minds, but by virtue of a direct realism about that? Likewise, the existentialist. That's the way a Sartre could hypothetically say, I vomit, therefore I exist. You see, because there's a direct awareness of one's bodily existence in a state of nausea. You see. So you're right. The issue is direct or indirect, direct or representational knowledge.
And so would Descartes have responded to that kind of argument by just, I mean, does that come down to a matter of almost semantics?
No, not semantics, but yeah, I think it comes down to the adequacy of two different descriptions of knowing, being aware of, perceiving. And those of you who were in Dallas Willard's second lecture will remember that he talked of several keys to that realism. One was the notion of intentionality. That is to say, the mind reaches out and directly apprehends what is out there, points to mental intention. Another was the importance of a substantive self. That is to say, an agent that can have such intention and mental outreach. You see. So, right on that target, yeah. And we'll be getting into that sort of thing as we go along. But it's Descartes who really made the crucial issue of the 17th and 18th century really epistemology. Yeah. Very crucial. Anything else? David? Yeah, there may be logical fallacies that are involved in this. As, for instance, a gap in the chain of argument, a suppressed premise that doesn't happen to be true. You see, something of that sort. But that is the kind of mistake it is that's involved in this representational view, when he says that the object that we're aware of is our own mental states. You see, now, I take that to be a misdescription of the nature of consciousness. A misdescription. Yeah, because if, as Ruth says, I'm aware of my own body, or as such says, I'm aware of my own bodily vomiting, you see, in an immediate way. If that's the case, then I'm only aware of my own ideas as a misdescription. You see, there's a great deal of difference between having an idea of vomiting and vomiting. Right? If you have an idea right now, I don't see anybody doing it. You see. Yes, yes. You see, it may be legitimate to say, I think, therefore I exist. Hobbes says it's a mistake to infer that you're a thinking thing in a material soul. Doesn't follow. Hume says it's a mistake to infer that there is any thing at all that thinks. Yeah. So they think there are gaps in the argument, yeah. Janelle.
How do you explain how you go from I exist, I'm a thinking thing, to God exists?
Okay, that's the next order of business. Jim?
It is a bit less graphic than vomiting. I happen to be a bit hungry right now. I'm aware of that. Would you say that I just simply have the idea of hunger?
Yeah, this comes up again when we get to George Berkeley, who has a similar kind of representational view as the basis for his subjective idealism, you see. But George Berkeley will make a distinction between the idea of hunger and feeling hungry. His example is of pain. I think it was one of those other 18th century English figures, his name slips me for the moment, who said he's going to refute the learned Bishop Berkeley, and he kicked a rock, and, oh, that hurts, that's real pain, not just the idea of pain. To which Berkeley responded, sure, the idea of pain is voluntary, the real pain is involuntary, that's the real difference. But they're both ideas. There are some involuntary ideas, you see. So Descartes, I suspect, would say the same thing, that your present idea of vomiting is, or your present idea of a meal is a voluntary one, whereas your feeling hungry is an involuntary one. But they're both ideas.
But that doesn't make you aware of...
No direct awareness. No. Not according to Descartes and Berkeley. According to Reid, yes. Yeah. Tim? Well, is there any reason why an immaterial agent giving concentration to careful argumentation with Descartes doesn't get tired? I mean, there's a physical tiring, yeah, but there's also a mental, couldn't there be, purely mental tiring? Now, that's not the way Descartes would answer it, that's the way Berkeley would answer it. The way Descartes would answer it probably is by saying, yes, there, as we'll see when we've proven the existence of body, there is a causal relationship between body and mind. So that if your body gets fatigued, your mind is affected. Yeah, it's interesting that my mind gets fuzzy about 9, 10 o'clock at night. Usually it's not fuzzy in the morning, it's fuzzy at night. Why? Well, Descartes would say it's obvious. Your body's getting tired and your mind is affected. Yes. Yeah, be careful that you don't take substance to mean something physical. It's our translation of the word race, which means a thing, and we use the term substance in ordinary English in a variety of ways. Now, the substance of this argument is, you see, or we say, what is the matter? Meaning, what's the problem? The matter under discussion is, you see, so terms like matter and substance do not necessarily refer to things physical. Literally, substance is what stands beneath. Substao. How many people have high school Latin? Bunch of barbarians. Substao, stands beneath. You see. Oh, sure, no, it's Greeks, Romans, or barbarians are the only alternatives. That's the way it was in antiquity, at least. So, in that sense, you see, the mind is that which underlies all of the conscious states and activities. The underlying reality. Is that mind? David?
I was wondering, with Descartes, it does say that there are involuntary ideas. Didn't he sort of rule his way out of the solipsism of present moment by saying that he had these involuntary ideas going on, even though we're not conscious of them?
No, I think an idea that you're not conscious of, he would regard as a self-contradiction. It's like a square circle. Because an idea is a conscious state. And you're asking about an unconscious consciousness. No such animals.
What do you call dreaming?
Well, there are mental states. There are images that go through your mind in dreaming. So dreaming is a state of consciousness. It's not waking consciousness, but it's a conscious state. You can tell me sometimes what you dreamed.
Yeah, but when you look at the subconscious, doesn't ideas, I mean, doesn't the subconscious hold ideas that you're not aware of?
Doesn't the subconscious hold ideas that you're not aware of? Or do you mean that there are certain unconscious or half-conscious influences on your conscious states? Is it an idea until it becomes conscious? Now, the causes of that consciousness is another thing. Is it? But depth psychology has found all sorts of causes that nobody thought of before. Found? Well, hypothesized. Yeah. Striking causes. All right, meditation 3. Janelle wants to get to that. Meditation 3. Having come only this far, that I am a thinking thing, thinking ideas, it's pretty plain that Descartes has only 2 additional premises now available for anything he wants to prove. 1, the existence of the mind, okay? And 2, the actual ideas that I have. So if he's going to argue for the existence of God, he has to argue from either or both of these. And he does. The main body of Meditation 3 is arguing from our actual ideas. Specifically, my idea of God, which is one of my ideas. You see? But the other would be the existence of the mind. Yeah. And in both cases, what he's going to do is to try and construct a causal argument. A causal argument. Now, the argument from the existence of the mind is relatively simple, and it only plays a secondary role. It's a secondary role woven into the argument from the idea of God. But the existence of the mind is fairly simple. Here I am, very obviously a finite, fallible, contingent thing. Limited, subject to error, and dependent for my being as a mind on other things, and for my functioning as a mind dependent on other things. In other words, what he's dealing with in the existence of the mind is the agent that acts in conscious actions, the agent and the ideas. And you see those things he gets out of his initial description of thinking. There are ideas, there's an agent, a thinking thing. So his question is going to be, what causes these? It's the ultimate cause. So it's cause-effect argument. Now, if you're on your toes, no, I know you're not physically, but mentally, on your toes, you may be on your toes physically, it's almost that time, but if you're on your toes mentally, you'll recognize that in coming at a causal argument, he has a suppressed premise in addition. Namely, that there are, in reality, causal relations. That any contingent thing must have a cause. Ideas aren't self-existent, they must have a cause. Contingent minds aren't self-existent, they must have a cause. Ouch! Where did that come from? Well, I think it's a happy illustration of the fact that when you try to suspend everything, you're bound to find something down the track you fail to suspend. He's suspending judgment on everything in Meditation 1. But apparently he didn't suspend judgment on the causal principle. He might develop an argument for that, saying nature teaches us that. And indeed, you notice that he distinguishes between 3 kinds of ideas. Ideas that are innate, ideas that are adventitious, and ideas that are factitious. A factitious idea is one I make up, it's a fiction. Like my idea of a fairy giraffe with butterfly wings and pink polka dots on its tail. You see, that's a factitious idea. There are some ideas that are adventitious. That is to say, they come to us from outside agents, from outside causes. Like my idea that there's a tree out there on campus is adventitious, because of what is impacting on the sense organs and so forth. But then there's possibility of innate ideas. You see, now our very experience of adventitious ideas, over which we have no control, involuntary, not voluntary. You see, adventitious ideas are involuntary, factitious ones are voluntary. The very existence of these adventitious, voluntary ideas is such that, as he puts it, nature teaches us that. Nature makes evidence that there is a cause out there. I have no control over that idea. You see. I look Carl here in the face and I just can't get away. There it is. Like it or leave it. I mean, there it is. Involuntary.